Queen Saraxi, the Dragon Queen of Virilan, returned to her palace without telling anyone, not even her guards. Her wings were folded tight, her steps fast, and her heart beat with a strange mix of joy and fear. She had been away on a long diplomatic journey, speaking with leaders from many planets. For weeks she missed her 3 small children, rare dragon triplets. All born deaf, all born fragile, all born precious to her. She wanted to surprise them today. No ceremony, no guards. No noise, just a mother greeting her baby's dot as she flew. Quietly through the shining halls, she thought of their small glowing scales, their tiny wings, and how they always touched her face to feel her presence. The thought warmed her heart, but everything changed the moment she reached the royal nursery floor. The doors were half open. There were soft lights inside. Voices were not allowed here, yet she heard movement. Her eyes narrowed. No guard should be inside. Only trained caretakers could enter, and even they needed special permission. She stepped inside silently, then she froze. Her fire-red eyes widened. Her heart stopped for a full breath. Her 3 deaf triplets, Dalu, Sira, and Kiro, were not alone. Standing with them was a human, not a noble, not a soldier, not a teacher, a janitor. His name tag read Evan. He wore a simple gray uniform and held a cleaning tool in one hand. His other hand moved in soft, gentle motions. The triplets stood around him, their tiny wings open, their small claws touching him with trust and happiness. And they were laughing, not with sound, because they could not hear, but with glowing scales, shaking shoulders, bright smiles. Evan slowly signed to them with human sign language, his face full of light and kindness. He did not even know the queen was standing behind him. The queen could not believe her eyes. A human janitor. Inside her children's private chamber. A place guarded by strict laws, forbidden to outsiders. Punishment for entering, death. Her breath turned to fire. Her wings shot open with a loud snap. The floor trembled. Evan jumped in fear. He turned and saw her fiery eyes. His face went white. He dropped his tool and raised his hands, shaking. The palace alarms reacted instantly to her energy. Guards rushed inside with weapons drawn, surrounding Evan. One guard yelled, "Your Majesty, he must be executed." No outsider may. But before the guard finished speaking, something unbelievable happened. The smallest triplet, Dalu, ran to Evan and hid behind his leg. The second triplet, Sira, followed and wrapped her tiny tail around Evan's arm. The third, Kiro, flapped his soft wings and stood in front of Evan, trying to protect him. The Dragon Queen stared in shock. Her royal children were defending a human janitor. The guards froze. No one dared move. The queen lowered her head slowly, her voice deep and dangerous. "Why," she said, "are my children hiding behind you?" Evan swallowed hard. Sweat slid down his face. "Your Majesty, I didn't know they were here," he whispered. "The door system opened by mistake. I only came to clean the floor. They came to me." The queen stepped closer. The heat from her scales filled the room. She studied her children. They were not scared of Evan. They were scared of losing him. She signed a command to them, "Come to Mother." All 3 looked at her. Their glows dimmed. Their wings lowered, but they did not move. They stayed with Evan. A wave of confusion and pain passed through her chest. She was their mother. She was their protector. She loved them more than her own crown. So why? Why were they choosing this simple, human stranger over her guards, over their trained caretakers, over everyone? Evan looked just as confused as she was. He knelt to the children and gently signed, telling them it was safe. He tried to push them forward, encouraging them to go to their mother, but the triplets only held him tighter. The queen felt something she had not felt in years, fear. Not for their safety, but fear of the truth. What had this human shown them? What had he done that even their own royal caretakers could not do? Why did her children glow brighter near him than they ever glowed near anyone else? The queen stepped back, her tail curling in deep thought. Her eyes softened, just a little. Something strange was happening here, something important. Something she must understand, because what she had seen was not a threat. It was something far more shocking, and she needed answers. The royal guards still stood with weapons ready, waiting for the queen's order. But Queen Saraxi raised one hand, and all of them became silent. Her eyes never left Evan. She could see the fear in his face, the trembling in his hands, but she also saw something else, something she did not understand yet. "Everyone out," she commanded. Her voice echoed through the high crystal walls. "Leave me with the human." The guards hesitated. One dared to speak. "Your Majesty, he is dangerous." "If he were dangerous," she cut him off, "my children would not cling to him. As if he is the only safe being in this palace." No one argued. The guards stepped backward, bowing before exiting. The doors closed heavily, sealing the queen, Evan, and the triplets inside the nursery. A strange calm filled the room. Evan stood, frozen, unsure if he would live another minute. The triplets pressed against him as if he were their shield. The queen walked in slow circles around him, studying him from every angle, his shaking hands, his soft brown eyes, the way he bent slightly to protect the children behind him. At last she spoke, her voice deep but controlled. "Tell me how you entered the sacred nursery of my royal children." Evan swallowed hard. "Your Majesty, I am only a janitor. I clean the lower halls. I swear I did not know this was the nursery." The door opened for me. The system flashed green. I thought it was an empty room. The queen tilted her head. "And yet my children do not fear you. They fear everyone except you." She made a sign with her claws, a gesture only dragon mothers use. It meant, "Come to me. You are safe." But the triplets did not move. Their wings drooped, their glow dimmed, but they stayed behind Evan. The queen felt a sting in her heart, but she hid it behind a calm expression. "Human," she said slowly, "kneel." Evan obeyed, lowering himself carefully to the floor. The triplets followed, climbing onto his arms and shoulders like small glowing birds. Queen Saraxi lowered her head until her golden eyes were level with his. "What did you do to my children?" "Nothing," Evan said quickly. "I only helped them. When I came to clean, they were here alone." The smallest one's wing brace was caught on a chair. She was crying without sound. I removed the chair and fixed the strap. Then they came closer. The queen's eyes narrowed. "You fixed the brace?" "Yes," Evan whispered. "It was not hard." But the queen knew that brace very well. Her own engineers tried to fix it for months. They said it was too delicate, too rare, too risky. Yet this simple human repaired it using only a basic janitor's toolkit. She leaned back, confused. "How did you know how to help her?" Evan looked down. "On Earth, I worked with deaf children in a small school. I learned sign language. I learned how to comfort them. I learned how to see their feelings, even when they made no sound." The queen's breath caught for a moment. Her triplets had never met anyone who could understand their silent world. Even the palace caretakers struggled to communicate with them. She watched Evan again. He signed to the children softly. "Everything is okay. Mother is here." The triplets answered with small glowing signs, their tiny claws moving slowly but clearly. Evan looked up shyly. "They like to talk with signs. It makes them feel seen." The queen felt her chest tighten, but not with anger, something else. Something she had not felt in a long time. She moved closer and knelt before her children. They hesitated, then slowly touched her claws, unsure. It hurt her deeply to see their confusion. She was their mother. She loved them. Why did they look at her with fear? Then she realized something. They were not afraid of her. They were afraid of returning to a world where no one understood them, but this human did. "Show me," the queen said suddenly. "Show me how you speak with them." Evan nodded nervously. He began signing slowly. "This is your mother. She loves you. She came home early to see you." The triplets looked at the queen. Their glow softened. Their wings relaxed. Then Sira, the middle one, signed back with tiny claws. "But we did not want to be alone." The queen's heart broke. She had been gone too long. And the children had been too lonely. She turned her eyes to Evan again, studying him with new understanding. He was not a threat. He was something she had never expected, a bridge to her own children's silent world, something unique, something important, something she needed to understand before she made any judgment. "Human," she said quietly, "you will stay until I learn the truth of this bond." Evan's eyes widened. He had not been punished. He had been chosen. And the queen had no idea how much this one moment would change her entire kingdom. Queen Saraxi sat on the smooth crystal floor of the nursery, something no dragon ruler had done in centuries. But today, the rules of her world already felt broken. Her 3 deaf triplets sat between her and Evan, the human janitor who should never have been inside this room, yet somehow belonged more than anyone else ever had. The queen watched the children closely. They were calm with Evan. Their wings twitched gently. Their tiny claws tapped soft rhythms on his arms. The soft glow from their small bodies warmed the room. She wondered how long it had been since she had seen them this peaceful. For months, every caretaker, healer, and specialist had failed to understand them. The children could not hear commands. They could not follow the strict training of royal younglings. They did not respond to the tones or the wing signals of adult dragons. Many nobles whispered that the deaf triplets were a royal shame. Queen Saraxi hid her children from the public to protect them. She kept them inside these walls, hoping silence would keep them safe. But silence never gave them comfort. It only made them lonely. She had left them for diplomatic duties, believing the best caretakers would support them. Now, she realized they had been alone in fear, and yet here was a human, a simple janitor, who had reached their hearts in just one afternoon. The queen watched as Kiro, the 3rd triplet, tugged at Evan's sleeve and showed him a small broken device. It was the tiny translator box meant to vibrate soft signals for the children. The engineers had given up on it weeks ago. Evan examined it slowly. "Ah," he murmured, "the wire is loose." He took out a small tool from his janitor belt, twisted the wire gently, and the device lit up again. The triplets' eyes sparkled. Queen blinked. Her royal technicians were the finest in the kingdom. None of them could repair such a rare translator without heavy equipment. Evan did it with a simple pocket tool. "Human," she said, her voice low. "Where did you learn such precision?" Evan looked embarrassed. "I used to fix small hearing aids for children on Earth. I didn't have money for new ones, so I repaired what I could." The queen studied him. There was no pride in his voice, only quiet truth. The triplets gathered around Evan again. They touched his face, his hands, even his hair, feeling his warmth and reading his expression. In their silent world, touch was everything. Then came something even more surprising. Sira, the middle triplet, climbed onto the queen's lap. Queen Saraxi held her breath. Her daughter rarely came near her without crying. But today Sira was calm. She gently guided her mother's claw toward Evan's hand, as if saying, "See what we see. Feel what we feel." Queen Saraxi's chest tightened. She placed her claw near Evan's hand and watched him sign slowly. He showed her a simple phrase. "I see you, I understand you. You are not alone." The queen repeated the movement with difficulty. Her claws were not built for soft human signs, yet she tried. The triplets glowed brightly. It was the brightest glow she had ever seen from them. A glow of joy. Something broke inside her, not a painful break, but a wall she didn't know she had built around her heart. All this time she thought she was protecting her children, but she was only protecting them from the wrong dangers. The real danger was loneliness. The Queen looked at Evan again with new eyes. "What do my children tell you?" she asked. Evan hesitated. "They don't use full signs yet, but they try to show feelings." He turned to the triplets. "Show her what you showed me earlier," he sighed. The smallest one, Delu, stepped forward. Her tiny claws moved slowly. "Mother, we try, but no one listens." The Queen's throat tightened. Sira added another sign. "They talk with loud wings. We cannot hear wings." Then Kiro, the bravest, signed something that pierced the Queen's heart. "But he listens with eyes." The Queen felt as if the room tilted. For the first time, she saw herself from their point of view, a powerful mother who loved them deeply, but never truly understood them. Not because she didn't want to, because she didn't know how. She lowered her head. For a dragon queen, lowering her head was the highest sign of respect. "You have taught them something valuable," she said softly to Evan. "They glow differently with you." Evan's voice was gentle. "They glow with anyone who tries to understand them. You can learn too." She lifted her eyes. The human janitor was not challenging her. He was offering her a door she had never walked through, a way to reach her own children. She nodded slowly. "I will learn." The triplets cheered silently, their wings fluttering with happiness. For the first time since their birth, the Queen felt a bridge forming, a bridge made of simple signs, gentle patience, and a human heart. She did not yet understand the full meaning of this bond. But she knew one thing clearly. Her children had found something rare, someone who saw them not as royal treasures, not as weak, not as broken, but simply as children. And the Queen vowed to discover why. The calm inside the nursery lasted only a short moment. Queen Saraxi was still watching her triplets practice the simple signs Evan had shown her when a soft vibration traveled through the floor. It was faint, too faint for most beings to notice, but the Queen felt it instantly. Her wings stiffened. Something was wrong. Evan noticed her sudden tension. "Your Majesty, is everything okay?" She did not answer. Instead, her eyes glowed brighter, scanning the room. A dragon queen's senses were sharper than any scanner. She could feel life, heat, and movement through the walls, and right now, she felt a strange energy signal pulsing from somewhere near the nursery. The triplets noticed the Queen's fear before anyone spoke. Their small wings folded tight, their glow dimming. Sira crawled into Evan's arms, shaking. "It is all right," Evan whispered. "I'm here." The Queen stared at the human for a moment. His instinct to protect them was so natural, so quick, it surprised her again. But there was no time to study him now. She rose to her full height, wings spreading. "No one should be this close to the nursery," she said sharply. "Not unless they want something." Evan's face paled. "Do you think someone is?" "Yes," the Queen said. "Someone is here for them." Her voice carried a deep growl, a warning that shook the air. She turned toward the door, and then the entire nursery trembled. A loud boom shook the walls. Dust rained from the ceiling. The lights flickered. The triplets cried silently, their scales glowing weak with fear. Evan acted before thinking. He pulled the children close and shielded them with his body. The Queen saw it clearly. The human, small, fragile, untrained, covered her children with himself as if he had nothing to lose. She felt a jolt in her chest. Another explosion hit the outer wall. Closer this time. The Queen snapped into command mode. "Follow me. Stay behind my tail. No noise, no running." Evan nodded quickly, still holding the children. He moved with surprising control, even though fear shook his hands. The Queen pushed open a hidden panel in the wall. Behind it lay a narrow, crystal hallway, one known only to royal blood. She guided Evan inside and sealed the door. The hallway echoed with another blast. The children huddled close to both Evan and the Queen. Evan whispered, "Who would attack a nursery?" "Not attack," the Queen said grimly. "Steal." Evan froze. "Steal the triplets?" She nodded. "Their deafness is rare. Their DNA is unique. Many scientists, black market traders, and power-hungry nobles would pay a galaxy of treasure to own them." "Own?" Evan repeated, disgusted. Double quotes, "Yes. To study them, to use them, to turn their weakness into a weapon." He held the children even tighter, as though trying to protect them from the very thought. Another explosion echoed, this time inside the palace walls. Whoever was attacking knew exactly where to target. The Queen led them deeper into the secret hall. But halfway through, she stopped again. The energy signal was moving. Fast. Someone was following them. She pressed her hand against the wall. A hologram flickered to life, showing a masked intruder working through the palace ducts. He carried a plasma blade and an energy net. Evan whispered, "That net, is that for?" "Yes, for children." Evan almost retched. The Queen's fire rose higher. "No one touches them," she growled. "Not while I breathe." Suddenly, a loud clang echoed above them. The intruder was in the ventilation system directly overhead. Evan pulled the children into a tight corner. "Stay behind me," he whispered. The Queen saw it again, that same instinct, that same protective movement. A movement of a parent. She positioned herself in front of them all, her wings wrapping protectively around the small group. A metal grate above them burst open. A masked figure dropped down from the ceiling, landing lightly. His plasma blade glowed in one hand. The neck device crackled in the other. Evan stepped forward before he even realized it. The Queen's eyes widened. "Evan," but he stood firm. "You want them," he said, voice shaking. "You go through." "Me," the intruder paused. Even behind the mask, he seemed confused. A human janitor was challenging him? The Queen stepped beside Evan, her voice a low thunder. "And through me." The intruder lunged. The Queen blocked the strike, sparks flying everywhere. Evan grabbed a fallen metal bar and swung it with all his strength, hitting the intruder's arm. The blow surprised the attacker long enough for the Queen to unleash a blast of fire that forced him back. He escaped through the ducts again, but not without leaving scorched armor behind. Silence returned. Evan leaned against the wall, breath shaking. The Queen looked at him not as a janitor, not as a human, but as something far more important. "You protected my children," she said, softly, "even when I was still turning." Evan shook his head. "They needed me, that's all." The Queen stared down the dark hallway. Someone wanted her children. Someone powerful. Someone inside the palace, and she would find them. The Queen led Evan and the triplets into a safer chamber hidden deep inside the palace walls. It was a quiet room, round and warm, with soft glowing stones on the floor made long ago for royal children to rest in times of danger. But the triplets did not rest. They clung to Evan, trembling from the attack. Queen Serexi watched him as he comforted them. He did not rush, he did not panic. He simply held them with steady hands and gentle signs, as if he had done this many times before. She wondered again, "Who are you, human?" When the triplets finally calmed a little, the Queen spoke. "Sit, Evan, we must talk." Evan sat slowly, still keeping one arm around the smallest child. "Delu." The Queen lowered herself too, folding her wings close. For a moment, her fierce shape softened. She looked less like a ruler, and more like a mother who needed answers. "Tell me everything," she said quietly. "How do you know my children's signs? How do you understand them better than trained caretakers? Why were you able to fix the devices no one else could repair?" Evan lowered his eyes. He had tried to avoid this conversation, but running from his past had never changed it. "I wasn't always a janitor," he began softly. His voice carried a deep pain that even the Queen could feel. I used to work with deaf children on Earth. At a small school, in a poor neighborhood. I taught them simple signs. I helped them fix their hearing aids. I helped them understand the world. Sierra, the middle triplet, looked up at him with wide glowing eyes. She touched his face, reading his expression. Evan continued. They were my world. Those kids, they were everything to me. The Queen listened silently. She could hear truth in every word. But then, Evan said, swallowing hard, the war came. The Queen remained still. She had heard many stories of Earth's wars, stories full of loss and destruction. One night, the school was hit. Evan said, his voice cracked. I was late because my bus broke down. When I reached the school, everything was gone. The room fell silent. The Queen felt something shift in the air, something heavy and full of sorrow. Even the triplets stopped glowing. They touched Evan gently, sensing his pain without needing any sound. I couldn't save them, Evan whispered. Not one of them. He wiped his eyes quickly. I had no job left, no home, no reason to stay. So I joined the alien labor program. They sent me here to clean floors and fix small things. I thought maybe, if I stayed busy, I wouldn't think so much. The Queen finally spoke. Her voice was not harsh now. It was soft, almost warm. And my children reminded you of them, Evan nodded. Yes, when Deleu's wing brace was stuck, she looked at me the same way one of my students used to look when she needed help. I couldn't ignore it. I just acted. The Queen closed her eyes for a moment. She felt a deep ache inside her chest. Not sadness, admiration. Understanding, human, she said gently. You carry a heavy grief. I do, Evan whispered. I thought I would never teach again. But your triplets. They needed someone who understood silence. Someone who listens with their eyes. I didn't plan anything. I just did what felt right. Kiro, the bravest triplet, crawled onto Evan's lap and pressed his forehead to Evan's chest. A dragon child's gesture of comfort. A gesture of trust. Evan hugged him, tears shining in his eyes. The Queen watched closely. She had seen warriors, generals, rulers, and leaders from many worlds. She had seen courage in battle and pride in royal halls. But she had never seen someone protect children with such quiet strength. You risked your life for them, she said. Why? Evan looked up, surprised by the question. But his answer was simple. Because they were scared. And because they reminded me that I still have something to give. The Queen's wings loosened slightly, a subtle sign of respect. You did more than give, she said. You saved them. Evan shook his head. I just did what any good person should do. No, the Queen replied softly. Not everyone would shield dragon royal children with their own body. Not everyone would stand between us and danger. Not everyone would repair devices that my own engineers could not understand. She leaned closer, studying him with deep golden eyes. You are not ordinary, Evan. You think you are small because your past broke you. But I see a strength inside you that even dragon warriors cannot copy. Evan lowered his gaze, overwhelmed. The Queen continued, My children trust you. Not by accident, not by chance. They trust you because you show them what our world has not given them, patience, understanding, and true care. Silence filled the chamber again, but this time it was warm, not cold. The Queen looked at her triplets glowing softly now, safe in Evan's arms, and she made a silent vow. She would do anything to protect them, and she would uncover whoever dared attack them. But she understood something important now. She could not protect them alone. Not anymore. Evan, the human janitor, had become part of their story, part of their world, part of their safety. And the Queen was beginning to realize he might also be part of their future. Asterisk. The safe chamber grew quiet again, but the Queen's mind did not rest. Her triplets were finally calm, sleeping lightly in Evan's arms, but the danger around them had not vanished. The attack was not random. Someone had planned it with careful steps, knowing the palace routes, knowing the weak points of the security system, and knowing exactly where the triplets would be. Queen Syrax's claws tapped gently on the glowing floor. Someone inside. Her own palace wanted her children. She activated a hidden panel on the wall. A transparent screen opened, revealing live scans of the palace. Red dots marked the areas where damage had occurred. One dot, however, glowed brighter than the others. It moved with intention, a spy. Still inside. Evan stood beside her, holding the children close. His face had regained some color, but his hands were still shaking slightly. He tried to hide it, but the queen saw everything. Is he coming here? Evan asked quietly. No, the queen said. Not yet. He is trying to reach the control room. If he gains access, he can disable the doors and take the triplets before we escape. Evan held the children tighter. Then we can't wait. Her eyes narrowed. We won't. She tapped another command on the screen. A new image appeared. A masked dragon noble, wrapped in dark armor, speaking into a small communicator. His voice was muffled, but the queen recognized the markings on his cloak. Lord Velen, a high-ranking noble, trusted, respected, and now a traitor. He wanted my throne, the queen said, her voice heavy with both fury and disappointment. He believed the triplets' deafness made them weak, unworthy. He wanted to replace me before they grew older. Evan stared at her, shocked. He'd harm children just for power? Yes, she said coldly. He sees them as tools. Rare genetic tools, nothing more. Evan looked down at the triplets in his arms. They glowed softly in their sleep, unaware of the danger around them. He felt a deep anger rise in his chest, an anger he had not felt since the night he lost his students. No, Evan whispered. No one hurts them, not him, not anyone. The queen looked at him with new respect. Before she could speak, the entire chamber suddenly flickered. The lights dimmed, then flashed bright red. The floor vibrated with a deep hum. He found the control room, the queen said sharply. He is cutting power. Evan's heartbeat quickened. What do we do? The queen spread her wings wide. We fight. The chamber's wall slid open to reveal a small hidden tunnel that led to the main palace core. The queen motioned to Evan. Stay close to me. The shadows here protect us, but only for a short time. Evan nodded and followed her, holding the children against his chest. The tunnel was narrow, lit only by soft blue stones. Every sound echoed. Every heartbeat seemed too loud. Halfway through the tunnel, a metallic screech came from ahead. The queen raised a claw, signaling Evan to stop. Something heavy moved in the darkness. A blast of hot air roared toward them. The queen reacted instantly, pulling Evan and the triplets behind her as a beam of energy scorched the crystals beside them. The attacker stepped forward, Lord Velen himself, his armor glowing with stolen power from the palace core. Your reign ends today, Syraxi, Velen growled. And those children, they belong to me. The triplets woke with silent cries, glowing with fear. Evan held them tight, shielding them with his body once more. The queen's wings rose high. You will never touch them. Velen lunged at the queen, met him with fire. Flames burst from her mouth, lighting the entire tunnel. Velen blocked some of the fire with his shield, but stumbled back, armor cracking. Evan guided the triplets behind. A protective stone arch, comforting them with signs even as the battle shook the air. Velen swung his energy blade, striking the queen's shoulder. She roared, pain flashing through her eyes, but she did not fall. She pushed forward, claw against metal, fire against darkness. Evan watched, terrified but alert. He noticed something. The support beam above Velen had been weakened by the earlier explosions. A single strong hit could bring it down. He grabbed a fallen metal staff from the floor, crept closer, and struck the beam with all his strength. Crack! The beam broke. It fell directly onto Velen's back, pinning him to the floor. Queen moved fast. She stomped on his blade, breaking it in half, and pushed her claw against his chest. "It is over," she said coldly. Velen struggled but could not move. His armor sparked and shut down. Evan exhaled shakily and carried the triplets to her side. They touched the Queen's wings gently, their glow warming again. The Queen looked at Evan, a human, small and fragile, who had just played a key role in saving her children and stopping a traitor. "You saved us all," she said softly. Evan shook his head. "No, we saved them, together." The Queen's eyes softened. Together, a word she had never thought she would share with a human. But the truth was clear now. Evan was not just a janitor. He was something much more. And the Queen was starting to understand why her children trusted him with their lives. The moment Lord Velen was captured, a strange silence filled the palace tunnel. Not the silence of danger. This time it was the silence after a storm. A silence where breaths were shaky, hearts were heavy, and everyone felt the weight of what had just happened. Queen Saraxi stood tall despite the wound on her shoulder. Evan stood beside her, holding the triplets close. Their tiny glowing bodies pressed against him, seeking comfort. Their trust was total, complete. Guards finally arrived, shocked to see the traitor pinned under rubble and their queen wounded. They bowed and moved quickly to secure Velen. But the Queen lifted a claw, stopping them. "Not yet," she said. "My children must speak first." The guards looked confused but obeyed. Evan gently set the triplets down. They walked forward, in small steps, wings fluttering nervously. First Delu touched her mother's claw. Then Sira rested her head on the Queen's wing. Kiro, the bravest, signed something soft and shaky. "We were scared." Queen Saraxi felt her chest tighten with emotion. "I know, little ones," she whispered. "But you are safe now." But Kiro continued signing. His small claws moved weakly. He made us hide. He made us silent. But Evan listened. The Queen lowered herself to the floor, folding her wings around her children. Evan stood nearby, unsure if he should move or stay, but the Queen looked at him with soft eyes. "Come closer," she said. Evan stepped forward carefully. The Queen spoke in a quiet voice only a mother could use. "My children honor you today, Evan. They live. Because you listened, because you stayed, because you acted." Evan swallowed. "I only did what was right." But the Queen shook her head. "No, you did what many warriors could not do. You protected without fear. You understood without words. You cared without orders." She looked at him for a long moment, long enough that Evan felt the weight of centuries in her gaze. "You are not a janitor to them," she said. "You are their safe place." The triplets nodded, glowing softly, signing their agreement. After a few moments, the Queen finally turned to the guards. "Take Velen to the deepest cells. His crimes will be judged publicly. The kingdom must know the truth." The guards obeyed. Velen was dragged away, defeated and silent, when the intruder disappeared into the shadows of the prison corridors. The Queen finally breathed deeply. She touched her shoulder wound and winced, but her eyes stayed calm. "We must go to the healing hall," she said. Evan nodded and followed beside her, carrying the triplets. As they walked, servants and soldiers watched in shock. Their queen wounded, a human carrying royal children. It was something no one had ever seen. But the Queen did not care about their reactions. She cared only about her children and the human who saved them. Inside the healing hall, soft lights and warm crystals soothed the sharp smell of smoke and battle. Healers rushed forward, bowing deeply. One asked, "Your Majesty, shall we take the children?" But the triplets clung tighter to Evan, shaking their heads. The Queen raised a wing. No, they stay with him. The healers looked puzzled but obeyed. While the queen's wound was treated, she watched Evan play simple hand games with the children. They signed, laughed, and glowed with soft joy. Evan smiled gently, his face calmer than before. The queen saw something in him, something she had never seen in her own court, a father's heart. When the healing was complete, the queen stood again, taller than before. She motioned for Evan to join her. "Walk with me," she said. Evan held the triplets and followed her through the quiet halls until they reached the balcony overlooking the entire kingdom. Stars shone above them like tiny lanterns. The queen looked down at the world she ruled, the world she wanted her children to grow in, safe and loved. Then she spoke the words that would change everything. "Evan," she said softly, "from this day forward, you are no longer a janitor." Evan blinked, confused. "Your Majesty? You are now the royal guardian and teacher of the triplets. The highest honor our kingdom can give a non-dragon." Evan's breath caught. I don't deserve." But the queen raised a claw. "Gently, you do. You earned it the moment my children trusted you more than the walls that protect them." The triplets signed excitedly, glowing brighter than ever. Delu signed, "Stay with us." Sira signed, "Teach us more." Kiro signed, "Family." Evan felt tears rise in his eyes, but he smiled. "Yes," he whispered, "I'll stay. I'll protect you. I'll teach you everything I know." Queen Saraxi stepped closer. "Then welcome, Evan of Earth," she said softly, "to our home, to our kingdom, and to our family." The stars above them glowed brighter, as if celebrating the moment. The war was behind them. The danger was captured. The throne was safe. The queen finally saw what she had never expected. A human, a simple man with gentle hands and a wounded heart, was the missing piece her children had needed. Not a warrior, not a noble, not a dragon, but family.